Hey guys, Julian here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make solid groove style house like Pawsa and Bibi. As usual, you can get the full project file and samples and MIDI and presets, everything like that from this video is available right at the top of the description, and if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there, because it's already available, and yeah, here we go. So, this is a loop from the intro. It's 127 BPM. The first two tracks we have here are the vocals, which sound like this.
To the rhythm.
So these are the kind of vocals like you hear in a lot of these tracks, both Pawsa and Bibi, and a lot of these style producers use these. The idea behind these vocals is that it gives it a lot of space because they're only happening every now and then. Like if we played the track without these, you're really mostly just hearing this. And then it's just giving you a little like hit a vocal like that so that it keeps the track moving along. The idea of these is that it makes it so it's not just the most basic elements like the kick and bass and then the drums on top of that, but there's something a little bit extra there melodically, rhythmically, and all of that, but it's not taking up too much. It's not going to be like going the whole way through. It's just quick little stabs like this. So I have like this one middle phrase going to the rhythm. And then this little hurry. And yeah, we're just kind of like playing with having both of those there. I like having different types of ones. Like, you know, we could do just hurry and then maybe like another similar sample. But I like the idea that it's a bit of call and response where you get like the phrase and then the little hurry. And you can see both of these are hitting on the 4 right here. So definitely don't be afraid to play with different places where you're putting the vocals. Now, for the effects on these, they both have pretty similar effects as you can see. Basically what it comes down to is a little bit of space. So here we have echo on the first one, we have a bit of reverb on the second one, and then just having a little bit of saturation after that to fatten them up and kind of bring out the space. And then finally, just a high-pass filter on both of these to make sure that there's not going to be any low-end messing up the mix or getting in the way of the kick and bass. You can see on to the rhythm, I did delay, and then on this one, since it's less rhythmic, I just went with like a nice short reverb like this. So yeah, that's how you do the vocal stabs. Like I said, it's not hard. You just need to get something that A, isn't going to be just one long vocal that plays the whole way through, and B, that's going to fit nicely into your track, just being kind of more sparse and spaced out like this. After that, we have the kick, which sounds like this. So the way this kick is made is it's this kick. This is what the original kick I started with sounds like. So you can hear it's a 909 kick. I talked about this a little bit in another video the other day, but I wanted to go a little bit more in depth with it today and just kind of show you guys some more techniques of doing this. So this is how, if you don't know, this is how they make those big, fat, saturated kicks like you hear in Bibi's tracks and in Pawsa's tracks and a lot of other people's tracks. It's like that kick where it almost kind of sounds like a techno kick. It's really big and boomy and bassy, but it has this very like almost like an old school sort of feel to it. And so the way you make this is just by taking a 909 kick like this, and then you just put it through some distortion, and then I have a little bit of drum bus as well. So yeah, I'll turn off all the processing. So there's just the dry kick. And then I added a low pass just to get rid of some of those highs in there. It helps. Right now you're not really hearing it so much as a thing, but when you hear it with the distortion, this does make a difference. This makes it so you don't get those like super like hardstyle kind of frequencies when you start distorting it. But then we turn on the overdrive, and you can hear that's really bringing out the punch in the kick. It's making it a lot fatter and more full. And then finally the drum bus gives it that last little bit of punch that you really need to just make it hit a bit more, be a bit crunchier, and be a bit fatter in the mix. And yeah, that's how you make that really punchy, crunchy sort of kick. It's a 909 kick being distorted a bit. And then you just have to be really careful and finesse the distortion. Like you can see, I'm not just turning the drive all the way up. You know, that's just gonna end up with a hard style kick. But we're also not using too little. It's just the right amount of saturation and distortion that is gonna make it sound really full. And then the drum bus just kind of fills in the rest. And yeah, then after that we have the bass, which sounds like this. So there it is with the kick, so you can kind of hear how it actually fits into the beat. So this is a really syncopated bass line. It's in A sharp, that's the key of the track, and what's happening here is it's just 3 notes. We just have A sharp, F, which is 5 notes down, and then C sharp, which is, so we have A sharp as our root note, F would be the 5th, and then C sharp would be the minor 3rd. So this is actually just kind of like an A sharp minor chord shape that we're working with here. You can see if I move that up. But yeah, and then it's just kind of making this simple bouncy bass line, just using the notes like that. So I'd recommend picking like 2 or 3 notes that you want to write your bass line with, and then just go in and go crazy with different combinations of these syncopated patterns and notes in the pattern. You know, once you pick the notes, it's not too hard to write something like this. Now, for the sound with this one, it's made with analog. It's 2 square waves going into a low pass filter. So that's how we get that like more deep sound. And then I have a little bit of an envelope on the filter, which is making it kind of pluck a bit more. Without being too much to where, like, that's too much. You need it to just be deep and bassy like this. You don't really want any of those high frequencies. Then we have the amp envelope set in a very similar way, and then I just have a bit of drum bus to fatten the bass up. Here's without it. And then with it, you can hear how that really helps. Then we have an EQ8, which is cutting at 100 Hz, just cutting out a little bit of room for the kick, and then boosting the lows as well on top of that. And then finally, we just have a compressor sidechaining this to the kick, which you don't even really hear in the mix, to be honest. But this is more just like a mixing thing, because if I turn this off, you can see the low end can have some weird clashes happening, but if you sidechain it, there we go, it keeps it super clean. And yeah, and then on the groove of the kick and bass, I just have a little bit of saturation, so not a whole lot is needed, but I'll show you. Here is without this. And then with it. So again, real subtle, not a whole lot happening from that, but it's just giving it that little like boost to kind of glue the kick and the bass together as one in the mix. And yeah, that is it for the low end. After that we have the clap, which sounds like this. So this is just a nice, hard-hitting, really fat, punchy clap like this. This is the type of clap like you hear in a lot of these tracks, you know. It's just a matter, really, of just getting a good sample like this. Like, just getting something that's going to sit right on top of the mix like that and have that, like, that's really punchy. And then I just have it going through a bit of drum bus. So here's without that. And with it, it's already a pretty strong sample, so not much is needed. But you just need something like this to make it hit a bit more and just kind of bring it out. And yeah, that's it for the clap. And then after that, down here, we have these hi-hats. So it's 4 layers. We have our main hi-hat. This is the one you're hearing on the upbeats. It's just this sample. And then I shortened it a little bit. So this is what you want with the style. You need something that's really hard hitting. And it's got that sharp like in the high end that's really gonna hit. You know, I try to think of like the clap and the kick and this hi-hat are all like the hard hitting things in this mix. So we get those even. And that's how you get this hi-hat to sound so big. It's just trying to find something and make something that is going to fit evenly as hard as the kick. And so yeah, I've just shortened that a little, got it going through a bit of saturation. Then there's this hi-hat, which is just doing the... You can see I've played with the envelopes a little. And yeah, this is just like this little... tiny sound. I took this hi-hat, and then I shortened it, and then I used the amplitude envelope to make it even tighter. And that's just like, but it's really quiet. It's in the background. Like, you may not even notice it right on first listen. But it's adding a lot of energy to the track. If I turn it off, and then I'll turn it on. Yeah, I feel like this is something you need to make this track work. And then the last hi-hats we have down here are this hi-hat 3 and 4. So these are just these two little hits that are kind of playing off of each other. So you can hear, yeah, just kind of like got those two syncopated little hi-hats playing back and forth. Pretty simple, but it adds a lot of energy and excitement to the beat. If I turn these off, it's a little bit flat. But having those little things happening where you can hear the hi-hats playing off of each other makes a really big difference. And this is something to keep in mind too, because like in these kinds of tracks, you know, you don't really have a lead. It's kind of like your bass line is sort of like the lead, and then the rhythm and the percussion is what's carrying the track along. So it's just doing little stuff like this to add little details there that are gonna make the whole track feel a lot more full and a lot more exciting, with really not having to add too much that would take away from the other elements in the track. And then I just have those in a group together with just a little bit of drum bus. So here's without it. And then with it, you can hear that just gives it that last little kind of push to really hit and really have the hi-hats be glued together and sound nice together. And also just having them fit into the mix nicely. And yeah, so that is me for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. And let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Let me know if you want to see more of these solid groove style house tracks. As usual, you can get the full project file and samples and MIDI presets, all of that from this video. It's available right at the top of the description. And if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there because it's already available. Thank you so much, guys, and I will see you tomorrow with another video.